Majority of the rain that falls in the city comes out right here at Cole Park. With warmer temperatures and the dry conditions almost everywhere in the Black Hills, he walked outside and saw smoke just pouring out of this building. They are investigating a possible shallow grave. Having been around for more than 2 centuries, these walls have seen their share of strong winds. Townsend's primary purpose is to help people get better. Rappelling down the side of a cliff wall can be the most fun part or the scariest. You're starting to think in your head, why in the world am I doing this? These right here are calving sheds.
In just a single minute. Unbelievable.
It's pretty windy up here.
Michael, out to you.
Well, David, as you were saying, Mother Nature is just relentless and continues to dump a lot of rain around the Carencro area and throughout Acadiana. In fact, we're taking a little bit of a gamble here. It's a little bit risky to go live, but we did get some important information that we wanted to get to you. And since the flooding first began, we've seen a surge in viewer photos and tips on our Facebook and email. Now, there has been a lot coming in. We want to thank everyone who sent in the photos and videos because that's helped us keep track of where the worst flooding is. The rescue efforts continue here in Carencro, and this is actually the nerve center where multiple agencies are coming together trying to formulate plans and get the best idea about how to get people out of harm's way and into safety. Now, actually over here at the Civic Center here in Carencro, that's where the Red Cross has set up shop to help people who are in need of assistance and to try to get over some of their losses, maybe find a place to stay or find some dry clothes, because I've seen people come in here just completely drenched, carrying their animals in their hands, not really knowing where to go or what to do. So they're trying to point them into some direction where they can get back into a sense of normalcy and escape the chaos that has been going on. Now, something else that is a major concern is at Carencro Heights Elementary. There are about maybe 200 to 300 students there who are still trapped at that school, and they're trying to formulate a plan to find the best way of getting them out. As of right now, they want to leave them there. They brought them food and other items to kind of keep them okay, but eventually they are going to formulate a plan to get them out. It might be in a few hours. It might not be until tomorrow morning whenever the floodwaters do go down, because right now it's just too deep. Reporting from Carencro, I'm Michael Dupre, TV 10 Eyewitness News. Topping our look at news this morning, Lafayette police are investigating a murder that happened overnight. Officers responded to a report of a burglary on West University where a female victim was found fatally shot. News 10's Rob Malia joins us now live from a second scene where another body was found that is believed to be connected to the first body. Rob, what's the latest? With temperatures expected to drop to freezing tonight and tomorrow, homeless shelters in Acadiana are making plans to open facilities to those most in need of protection against the elements. The American Heart Association and the American College of Cardiology made a major announcement Tuesday regarding who is treated for high cholesterol. The fire is now contained and under control. With warm weather and dry conditions, slash pile burns can quickly get out of control. Fire officials urge anyone with a slash pile to be careful. Yes, coming up, McDonald's is bringing back the McRib, but unlike past years.
Yes, fans of the saucy pork sandwich are going to have to wait a little longer before they get their fix.
Never been a big fan of the McRib. It just, because I love ribs, smoked ribs, any kind of ribs, fried ribs, grilled ribs, you got it, you name it, I like it. But the McRib is like, I don't consider it a rib.
It's really not.
If you missed the tailgate yesterday, the Autism Society has another fundraiser planned later this month, a charity tennis challenge. You can visit acadianaautism.org for more information on that. Boy, Julie, there's just so many things we're seeing this morning on Pasta 2 that's making me hungry. We saw sauce bon earlier. Now we're watching pigs get roasted. I'm starving. Julie, you're not alone with your fear of cockroaches. I hate them also. The Carencro Sheriff's Office rescued Marielle McCall from her home when floodwaters threatened her life.
I started seeing water just coming up through the floor, and it was in a matter of minutes that it was pooling around my ankles, and it got really, really bad in an extremely quick amount of time.
Her daughter became stranded on a school bus that could not get through the high water.
They had a dump truck that was able to navigate the water, and they were able to go and get the kids via boat and dump truck.
Marielle was able to rescue most of her animals before the flash flooding got real bad, but one of her cats could not be saved.
Unfortunately, I witnessed him drown underneath the house. I was unable to get him out. I saw him through a small hole where the cable wire comes up into the house. And I jumped in the water, tried to get under the house to get to him, but I couldn't. And I did witness him drown under there. It was really, really heartbreaking.
The scorched earth left behind by the fire cracks and crunches. The Rushmore Ranch fire sparked up from a slash pile burn.
Came outside and smelled some smoke and looked around to see where it was coming from. And by the time I realized what happened, flames were coming up over the hill.
And even though it was small, flames threatened nearby homes, so fire crews knew they had to fight it fast.
Yeah, the wind was cranking up through this canyon pretty fast. We figured about 50 miles an hour. We had flame lengths about 4 to 6 feet spreading over the top of the hill pretty quickly, and threatened a couple of structures as it blew over the top of the hill.
Strong winds fed this fire, but it was our sunny weather that helped give it life. With warmer temperatures and the dry conditions almost everywhere in the Black Hills, fire officials are advising everybody to check their brush piles to make sure something like this doesn't happen anywhere else. To fully contain the fire, crews soak burnt debris with condensed foam and dig trenches to make a fire line.
Even though it looks cold in some spots, basically they're removing all of the fuel between the edge of the fire and the unburned fuel.
This fire may be out, but as our weather continues to warm up, another fire is always just a spark away.
The 60-minute miracle.
They have invited us into the place where this woman's going to give birth to her 6th child, and let's see if she could benefit from the $500. Here we go. They have invited us into the room where a woman is expecting to give birth in less than an hour. So it's time to make this 60-minute miracle happen before a different kind of miracle happens.
Hey, honey. This is Michael.
Cynthia Cottrell was shocked to see a camera crew in her hospital room, but she only smiled and said hi. And then I explained that we're here to give her $500.
I'm doing good.
My name is Michael Dupre, and Heidi recommended you. She said that you have an incredible story and that you might be somebody who could benefit from $500. The baby's heartbeat is a constant sound in the room, reminding us of the miracle that's about to take place.
Thank you so much.
So this journey of a 60-minute miracle is coming to an end here at Abbeville General Hospital, and what an appropriate place to have a miracle happen, because they happen here all the time. You hear that? That's the sound of a lullaby, and they play that whenever a woman gives birth. And maybe Cynthia, our 60-minute miracle awardee, is giving birth right now. I'm Michael Dupre, KLFY TV 10 News. It's a sport that lifts you to new heights. Rock climbing pushes you to the edge of your abilities.
It teaches people more about themselves, and it builds self-confidence. And what's cool about climbing is it doesn't challenge you just physically, it challenges you also mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's the only sport I know where you're challenged in all those realms.
But the thrill is part of the fun.
And the adrenaline and the camaraderie and the beauty, there's nothing I'd rather do. It's totally my bliss in life.
And climbing is also a stress reliever.
Climbing is something that you do that relaxes you, because when you're climbing, it's pretty much the only thing you can focus on. And so instead of worrying about all the other daily issues that are occurring, you just focus on you and the rock and being out there, and all that stuff is floats away.
Daryl owns a climbing school in Custer. This is his office, the rocks near Sylvan Lake. His job is to show people the ropes and get them up the rock.
She's got most of her weight on her feet. She's just dancing right up that wall.
If you want to get up the wall, here's how climbing works. One person holds the rope while the other climbs.
They take the rope with them, and as they're going up, they're placing gear, and that becomes their intermediate anchors.
You'll mostly climb with your legs. Feet do most of the work as you balance your weight and search for handholds on the rock.
Once they get up to the summit, they'll build an anchor similar to what we have right here.
Then, all you have to do is rappel down.
Depending on your frame of mind, rappelling down the side of a cliff wall can be the most fun part or the scariest moment.
With all fears aside, the Black Hills is one of the best places to climb.
People come from all over the world to climb here, and we have it right in our own backyard. And when someone gets to the top of the rock that's never climbed and you see how they feel, it's the best feeling in the world.
Climbing isn't this scary thing that crazy people do. Climbing's something that is just another good excuse to get out in the woods with your friends and family and have a good time.
Just like that, bread becomes toast. It's something we often take for granted, always stocked on store shelves, but have you ever wondered how much work goes into making just one loaf of bread? We turn to the experts for that step-by-step process, a local gym, Evangeline Made, right here in Lafayette. This giant spinning bread sign has a story of its own, spinning outside the factory right across the street. Since 1919, they've been making quality bread that we use every day.
We still make bread the old-fashioned way.
The entire process takes 8 hours.
We have over right at 165 employees working 24/7. What we produce today is on the truck this afternoon, in the warehouse, and it's in your grocery store tomorrow morning.
It all starts here, the mixing of the essentials, flour, water, and yeast. It's then dumped into carts where it sits for about 4 hours until the dough rises. Then it's cut and winds its way down the conveyor belt where it's stretched, molded, and placed into baking trays. Next up, the hot spot. These gigantic ovens where dozens of loaves are baked, and that only takes 10 minutes.
There's only one thing better than the smell of freshly baked bread, and that's the taste.
The bread cools for about an hour, and it's the cooling process that makes this truly the greatest thing since sliced bread.
After the bread comes through this conveyor after being sliced, it continues into this machine right here. That machine actually will bag 50 loaves of bread in just a single minute. Unbelievable. Then it continues on this conveyor where it gets wrapped up and it gets continued on to your store shelf.
And their factory never goes stale. They produce 500,000 loaves in just a single week, 500,000 carefully crafted breads for your own home. In Lafayette, Michael Dupre, KLFY News 10.
Nicholas Browning got the shock of his life when he went to Rapid City Regional Hospital with a throat infection.
One prong strike me here and one strike me in the stomach.
Browning says it all started when he was waiting for the doctor in the exam room. Because of his Tourette's, he often taps his feet and drums the beat with his hands. He says the noise caused a nurse to come in with 2 security guards waiting in the hall.
I explained to her that I had Tourette syndrome and that it was an uncontrolled tic that I was drumming.
After an exchange of words, Browning was asked to leave.
I said fine. I started to exit. I was followed by the 2 guards.
Browning says there was then a heated argument with the guards about which exit he had to take, followed by some physical contact. Moments later, electricity was coursing through his body.
Next thing I know, I'm hitting the ground. And I can't move, I can't breathe, I can't speak. I'm trying to speak and nothing's coming out.
Hospital security guards recently completed training for taser guns in January and began carrying them in February. Browning says he's concerned about the way one of the guards was behaving.
He seemed very trigger happy. He seemed very ready to use the taser. He had threatened to use it very early in the argument of me leaving the hospital.
There are 2 sides to every story. Officials here at Rapid City Regional say that Browning became physically and verbally aggressive towards the nursing staff. And once security officers arrived, he did choose to leave the emergency department, but he refused to leave the property. They also say Browning assaulted a security officer, and that's when one of the security guards was forced to tase him. Browning was then taken to jail and arrested for simple assault and failure to vacate.
The person was taken into custody. Obviously, he'll have his day in court, and at that point, be up to the prosecutors and the judge to decide, what's going on or his fate after that.
Until then, Browning has to deal with a trip to the hospital he'll never forget.
I feel very violated. Very violated.
Browning was finally treated for the reason he originally went to the hospital. His diagnosis, tonsillitis.